Hello everyone! Do you ever struggle with images or media in general? Do you ever find yourself uploading the same image over and over again because you need to use it, for example, in a training manual? Or do you have an old training manual that's already in web manuals, but you need to make a new one and therefore you need to grab all the images and upload them once more? Well, not any longer, because we are introducing the media library. The intent with the media library is to have all of your media in one location, easily controlled, easily reused and easily shared. And with that, of course, we try to make sure that we can cover all major media types, both videos, but also GIFs, JPEGs, PNGs, JFIFs and SVGs, and many, many more. We are intending for this to be a very broad spectrum that you can use. So without further ado, let's jump in and see where you can actually find this new feature. This behind me is the media library. It's on our test site right now. Our testers are working at this moment to finish everything and make sure that everything is the way we want it for you to receive. Where do you find it? Well, first off, as you can see here in the modules area, when we click on that, we'll have the modules menu open, and here you can find the media library. So let's jump in and have a look at what you can actually find here. First off, we have split it into shared library and document library. And I'll start talking about the shared library. So the intent with the shared library is this is where you can share all the images between all of your admins and editors. This is where shared images can actually be found, and you have a way to structure them. You can create your own categories. You can choose where the images go, so you can actually build a structure, and from there, users with access to the media library can simply pull the data that they need. To begin with, the media library will be available for all editors and all admins. So let's jump in and have a look. Here we can find all of the documents that our testers have shared in their respective categories. But let's imagine that I need to create a new one. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to add a category. So let's do that right now. This category is where we can decide to share images and thereby structure said images that are on the site. We'll call it, test category 1, and we'll click save, and bingo, we now have a test category 1. Of course, it's called that because I have zero imagination while we're doing these videos. Now, let's add an image to this, shall we? And we do that by clicking the little Add Image button out on the side. So we'll add an image here. We'll choose a file, and we'll grab the pillow file from Go Digital in Europe. And now it will process the image and put it in there. There we go. This is a JPEG image, of course. Shouldn't make much of a difference. It's quite large. It has pretty big dimensions, and as you can see, the name on the image is reflected from the old file name. This could pose a problem, of course, so let's update that right now. So we'll go here on the little overflow menu, and here we can rename, and we'll rename that to pillows. Web manuals, and we'll click save, and when we do that, we get a new name. So it's that easy. Of course, these names plays well with the filter as well. So try to structure and rename your files to whatever you need in your company. Now, while we're looking at this overflow button, let's have a look at a few extra things. We can unshare the image, and we can show the references. Of course, this specific image does not have any references yet, but we will go there and we'll have a look at some of the other images that actually does have references. Unshare means that we will not share the image anymore. If it doesn't have any references and it only exists in the share library, it will stop being visible. If it comes from a document already where it exists, it will just not be shared. That specific image will not be shared with this specific category. Now let's go in and have a look at a few of the images that my testers had put in. So if we go to the big images category right here, you will also notice as soon as it's loaded that we have quite a few image types, and we even have the GIF that's running very nicely. Now, we are seeing this in a list mode, and we do that to get a little bit of a better overview. But also, if we want to unshare images in bulk, we can simply click on this checkbox here. Everything will be selected, and then we can choose to unshare the selected images in case there's something we don't want to share anymore. When that's said, we can also change this view. So let's go in here and click. And on this view, we can actually see the images as being a little bit bigger, a little bit easier to get an overview of. On the images themselves here, just like the other view, on the overflow button, we can still rename, unshare, and show the references. On the filter itself, we can write whatever we want. So if I write raccoon, as soon as I write anything along those lines, it will then filter my images and I will only see the little cute raccoon. Last thing I want to mention in the library share or shared libraries is the little overflow button we have here. From here, we can rename the shared library or this specific category, or we can simply delete it if it is empty. We cannot delete any categories that are not empty because that does not make sense. We need to unshare everything first and ensure that it's not connected to anything. Now, let's move in and discuss the document library. The biggest difference here is these are actual documents with images in them. So in web manuals, as soon as you put an image or a media file in a document, then the system will find it and it will put the document automatically in the document library. That means that you will always be able to find the documents, of course, documents that you have access to with images right here in this list. So this will contain, this list will contain all the documents that you have access to, which has media files in them. And when any of those files are shared, they can be found higher up in the shared library. That is the whole ecosystem. So let's jump in to the document library and have a look at what we can actually do there. So in the document library, let's go to this document here. We don't have a button to upload an image. And that is, of course, because these images actually exist in the specific document. And we can't just put an image in the document from here. We need to choose a location. But we easily get an overview of which images are in this specific document. We can see 3 different ones. We can see that 2 of them with this little checkbox have images that are shared. Also, we can be taken directly to the document itself, or via the overflow menu, we can go in and we can choose to either share or see the specific document references. So from here, I can see that this image is used in 2 different places. Let's go in and find one of them. As soon as we click on it here, it will actually take us to that specific location in the document itself. Very easy to find where your images are being used. Very easy to go in and update them. Now, let's continue. Of course, one big thing about this is that we can actually go in and we can click an image and we can see how it looks. And that, of course, super quick works in the library as well from here in the shared library. So if we click here, it will actually open up the image and we will be able to see it if it wants to. There we go. And here we can see this massive image as well. Very nice that we can actually have an idea of what is used in our documents and how does the images look in reality when we are working with them. Last thing that I want to show you here is that we, as I mentioned, that we can share the image. So if we go in here and we choose to share, then we can click. We can see that it's already being used in Michaela, but we can choose to add it in my test category as well. There we go. And then we save. And now in my test category, you can see that the number 2 has now been updated. It was 1, it's now 2, because now there are 2 images in this specific library or in this category. And that is all I had to say about the document library. Now we'll go in and see how we actually work in a real document. As I said, let's jump in, have a look in a document, and find out how can we actually pull these images to the document, and how can we share images from the documents themselves as well. So first off, we'll jump into a document. Boop. And from here, we have an empty page. What a coincidence. Here, let's add a text section because this is just like adding a normal image. clickety click, and now we'll find our image, and you'll see that this dialog has changed a little bit. Our image properties have changed because now I can upload an image like we always could, but I can also choose to open the library. So let's start with opening up our library. If I click Open Library, I will see everything I have available. And from here, I can only use images or media that's actually in our shared library. Let's go in here and grab that rubber ring guy and use that as the selected image. Notice that we will now get the dimensions of the image right here readily available. This of course can be changed, and they will of course follow each other. So if I change that, I wanted it to be 200 instead. There we go. The height and the width will follow each other so we don't completely break the dimensions of the image. We can also choose to align it, and we also have a new caption functionality that we can add in to allow captions to be set. Or if we want to, and we don't want to mess with dimensions, we can simply set the image to fit the page width. I'm not going to do that in this case because that would turn out to be a very big drawn rubber ring. We can also see which shared categories this is in, and we'll simply click OK. When I do that, I get my image, and I can now change my shared caption right here. Purple ring guy. There we go. Now, that, of course, is using an image straight from the library. And with that, let's say we had a category that was called training, and now we could pull all the training images easily to a new training manual or some such. Same thing with maintenance or whatever you would want to do. This way you don't have to upload the same image over and over again for different documents. But let's do it the other way around. Now, I have an image, but it doesn't exist in my library, but I want to share it. So now I need to upload an image. We'll grab the same pillow image as before. As you can see, it's a massive one. I don't want to mess with it, so I'll simply set it to fit to page width. That will be set automatically, and now I can't change the values anymore. If I want to, I can also choose to share it, and I will. I'll share that to the December rename category, like so. And then we'll simply share that image. When I do that, it will upload the image, it will fit it to page, and bingo bango, now we have a beautiful Go Digital image. Now, let's talk about what happens when we start changing images. What can we actually do with them? And I have a page right here, just like a good TV chef. I've prepared the roast a little bit. So we have a page, we'll go in, and we'll add an image from the library. In this case, we'll use our little rubber guy again. We'll select the image, and beautiful. Now, as we saw before, we can of course change width and height. That's only on the scaling of the image. But what happens if we actually start changing the image? So again, the full scenario is I have a shared image in my image library. I want to put it in my manual, but I want to crop it a little bit. What happens then to the image that's shared, and what happens to all the other documents that's using it? In this case, I actually want to crop off the feet because I don't like these little duck feet. So we'll cut that. And notice that if I do that, if I edit the image, then a copy will be created. So if I start changing the images radically, it will actually create a copy of that specific image, so we don't destroy it in the library and we don't destroy it in documents that's already using it. That is a good thing. So with that, of course, we get new dimensions. But notice that if I change my mind, I can also just restore it the way it was. I can zoom in, or I can choose to rotate my image as well. So we'll do that, and we'll cut the feet off from the bottom. There we go, which is now the top. And then we click OK. So with the image set up, I have now changed it, I have rotated it, and I have cut a part of it. Now I need to either, the system will just put this image on the document itself, or if I need to share this new image, then I actually need to go in and choose where to share it, and then click OK. With that, you will see in my media library that now I have a new image that is called modified. And with that, of course, I can go in and I can rename it if I so want to. And that is everything for the media library. So now you have full access to upload all of your media files. You can share your files in our shared library. You can find the files that you already have in your document library, and you can take both new files and share them, or already used files from the shared library and apply them to your documents. As soon as we release this, all of your media files should already be available in the document library. So go ahead and share as much as you want.